Welcome everybody. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us and hear more about our development partnership for You Decide. We'll start with some introductions from the team here from the National Lottery Community Fund. I'm Elizabeth Myers. I'm the Head of Funding Development for England. Over to you, Hannah.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Stapley. I'm a funding officer working at the National Lottery Community Fund. I've been working with Elizabeth on this development phase, and I'm also driving the slides, so if I look a bit distracted, that's all I'm doing.
Susie?
Hi everyone, I'm Susie Farron. I'm the Head of Funding in the Portfolio Development team as well. Our colleague Ewan Davison is here with us as well.
In this session, we're going to cover what is You Decide, why are we looking for partners and having a development phase, what are we looking for in a partner, and the process of applying.
As Elizabeth said, just to give a little context, so this is a really important and exciting element that's come out of our strategy that we launched last year, which runs until 2030, and the strategy is called It Starts with Community. On this slide, you can see our 4 community missions, which are to support communities to come together, to help young people, children and young people thrive, to enable people to live healthier lives, and to be environmentally sustainable. And then running along the bottom of the slide, you can see that we've also made a commitment to an equity-based approach to tackling inequality. So what that means is, although our funding is available to all communities, we'll invest most in the places, people and communities who experience poverty, disadvantage and discrimination. And we've recognised that although funding is our most important tool, there are many other ways actually that we can create and contribute to a stronger and more resilient society. So, for example, by convening and bringing different organisations together to develop new opportunities and solutions, by supporting grant holders and giving advice and information to help strengthen them and their work. And a key one here in relation to You Decide is participation. So we really want to work to increase the involvement of different voices in shaping our work. So from that, you can see that You Decide is really deeply rooted in the new strategy and central to how we want to work. For example, by working with partners, we want to get into communities that maybe have never had a say in how things work or what is funded. We want to champion communities so that they can say what's most important to them. We'll create partnerships to get the best out of this work, and we'll share the learning to help the sector and to help us improve our practice. After that whistle-stop tour, and there's loads more information about the strategy and our new way of working on the website, I'll hand back to Elizabeth now to talk more about You Decide.
Thanks, Hannah. And before we get into the detail of You Decide in this development phase, these are going to be the main key takeaways today. So if you take nothing else away, it's these points. We want to do things differently. This isn't a traditional grant programme. This is a call out to find partners who want to work with us in the development phase, to work deeply with us over 12 months to test and learn approaches before we launch You Decide. We're looking for up to 5 organisations to work with us together over 12 months, and we want to work with a mix of partners, including those who are used to working locally, in depth with smaller numbers of people, and also organisations who are used to involving large groups of people at a regional or national level. We want to build learning by trying a mix of approaches. So why You Decide? As you heard from Hannah, this is deeply rooted in our strategy. We want to listen to communities and engage with them in new ways. As a really quick example, in the year ending March 2020, 27% of people in England said they felt they could influence decisions in their area, and only 8% got involved in decisions about services. Now, You Decide isn't about just local communities, it's about involving communities in our decisions in a much broader sense. So communities of interest, communities of change, communities of culture, communities of place and circumstance. But we know we're not the experts, which is why we want to work with you. We want to find ways to build community capacity. As our partner, you'll test out ways of involving communities in decisions about who and what to fund. And another way to think about how we're talking about communities is by people who share an identity, an interest or experience, or it could be people living in the same place. But that is why we want to work with you and other partners to share your knowledge, enthusiasm, and experience. And we want to learn from the approaches you take during this development phase and develop those into our more regular ways of working. So what is You Decide? We want you to help us shape it in this development phase. We've committed £2 million for the development phase to be split amongst up to 5 partners to test and learn. Oh, there it is. It went away for a second. So £2 million for the development phase to be split amongst 5 partners to test and learn and ultimately influence how we work with communities in the future. Available for the test and learn of the development phase is up to 1.6 million that's available for onward granting. We're looking for you to come up with ideas to build on the things you might already be doing, but also to try some maybe completely new things. We will cover your costs of working with us and the other partners. This is a development phase which will inform how we work in the future. We want to find ways for communities to be involved in our decisions about what and who we fund. But it could also lead to involving communities in ways that we haven't even considered yet. We want to work with you to find out what's best for communities and how to build capacity. So these are the aims and the outcomes of the programme of You Decide as a whole, not just the development phase. The aim is to increase community agency, control, and especially for communities currently least able to influence or change decision-making. The outcomes are that people are empowered to make a positive difference in their communities and that people feel a sense of safety, belonging, and trust. Okay, so hopefully this is why you're all here today. What would your role in this development partnership be? As we've said earlier, so £2 million is available in the development phase to fund different ways of involving communities in decisions about grant making across England. Around £80,000 per partner is available to cover your contribution across the 12 months of work. Some of you will want to give out grants at this stage to test and learn. You might want to expand your existing delivery or develop a new way of working. But you will work with us and other partners to share insight and learning. So that's been a lot of information so far. And this is a really different way of working for us. So let's just consolidate it for a second and think about it in a different way. £2 million for the development phase is represented here by the full circle. And the pink is the 20% there, which is available to cover your costs of working with us. That's up to £80,000 to cover your costs. And the remainder in blue is what's available for test and learning activities, including any onward granting. So what might you do as a partner with us? What might you propose as a way to test and learn in this partnership? These are just some ideas, and recognise that you will have more that we haven't even thought of yet. It could be a new way of engaging, a new process of working towards decision making, or a new system or platform. You might want to trial a new way of involving communities or expand your existing delivery. You might want to bring together a new community or build community empowerment through the process. We want you to test and learn and collaborate and share learning across the partnership to help inform our future work. So what comes next? Again, just another little pause and reflect, because it's been lots of information. This webinar is about working with us on a development phase for You Decide. You Decide is a program that will come after the development phase. This is a call out we're looking for up to 5 partners to work with us. And so to put that in context of this slide, the really big pink circle there and a smaller blue circle, please note this image is not to scale, and I hope you can read it, but if not, hopefully you can hear me and see the live captions. The small blue circle at the centre is the £2 million that we've got available for this initial development phase. The much bigger pink circle, not to scale, represents the 5% of funding that we have available across all our work up to 2030 to continue this work. So if you don't think that the partnership work in this development phase is right for your organisation at the moment, please know this is just the start. You'll be hearing more from us, especially over the next 12 months. Okay, so the types of partner we want to work with. Let's move right on to partner characteristics. If we mentioned through the slides so far, we want to work with a mix of partners. We want to work with partners who've got experience of different delivery models, geographical scales, working with and in different communities. We're particularly interested in communities who have experienced poverty, disadvantage, and discrimination. And we're interested from hearing from organisations who can demonstrate community participation and engagement as one of your main purposes. We also want to hear that equity is at the core of your values and ways of working. And the next slides are about our process for selecting partners. Move straight on to that. So in addition to some key information about your organisation, we're going to want to hear more about the following in our expression of interest or EOI form. We're going to ask about your experience. We're going to ask you to tell us about your organisation's experience of involving and engaging with communities in making decisions. That could be about how they decide which projects to receive grants, or it could be about what's most important in their area or amongst their community. We're going to ask you to give us a brief summary of the activities you'll carry out. We are happy to fund activities that you're already doing. We're also happy to part fund work that you may already have some funding for, sometimes called match funding. But what we can't pay for is anything you already have full funding for, or that has already happened is in the past. We're going to ask you to describe how involving communities in decision making will have an impact for them. That might be through building their skills, resources, or ability to work together. And we're going to ask you to describe the community or communities you intend to work with and what their current levels of engagement are. We're also going to find out how does your organisation demonstrate empowerment through its values and work? How does your organisation make sure your work is open and equitable? We are committed to developing an equity-based approach to tackling inequality. And by equity, we mean that recognising that not every community starts with the same resources, and supporting those, we want to support those that need it most, and we expect our partners to work in that way too. Okay, so what can you expect from us over the next few months? On this slide, you'll see boxes from left to right, leading right up to the partnership launching. Over on the left, when we announced that we were intending to open this partnership route, and today is the webinar. So we're already part of our way towards launching the partnership. You can see that we'll open for expressions of interest on January 8th, and that we will close those on the 8th of February. From there, we'll review the expressions of interest against our priorities, and we are expecting to get a lot of expressions of interest. As I say, we are only intending to work with up to 5 partners in this development phase. Then we'll tell you if you're invited to the next stage by the end of February, and if you are invited to the next stage, we'll ask you for some more information. And we'll use that additional information to make a decision, for which many will be at the end of May. However, some applications may take longer than others for this partnership phase, especially if they are complex. For example, if they involve onward granting or starting new approaches. We are coming to the final slide there, which I think is a thank you slide and has our team email on there as well, which is udecide@tnlcommunityfund.org.uk.